Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
The war room aboard the mercenary carrier Grave. A core was built to intimidate. Dim lighting. Reinforced alloy walls. A circular hollow table projecting a slowly rotating planet. Aerith 9, bathed in dull red and fractured by green settlement zones. The kind of place no one important ever visited, which made it perfect for easy money. 12 mercenaries sat or stood around a table, each one representing a different species, a different war, a different kind of violence. Armor plates clinked softly. Cybernetics hummed. Weapons rested within reach. Even here, they didn't trust anything, not even briefings. All right, the handler began. He stood at the far end of the table, thin, composed, face lit in shifting red from the hologram. No armor, no weapons. That alone made him either very confident or very dangerous. Target is a frontier colony. Aerith 9, independent settlement. Population, approximately 3,000. Humans, someone muttered. A few low chuckles followed. The handler didn't react. Varric did. He leaned back in his chair, heavy boots scraping the metal floor as he propped them on the table's edge. His armor, dark, angular, battle-scarred, caught the light like a blade. "Let me guess," Varric said. "They stopped paying taxes to someone who suddenly cares." "No," the handler replied calmly. "They stopped transmitting." That got less laughter. Still not concern, but less laughter. 6 days ago. The handler continued. All communication ceased. Automated relays, long-range beacons, emergency pings. Everything went dark. Solar interference? Juno asked. She stood with arms crossed, visor lifted, revealing sharp eyes and sharper instincts. System glitch? Negative. The hollow shifted. A waveform appeared, fragmented, jagged. This was the last transmission. Static crackled through the room as the audio played. Not what we thought. A distorted voice. Human. They're still human, but... The signal warped violently. Don't engage, don't. Silence. The recording cut. No one laughed this time. Varric lowered his boots slowly. "Okay," he said. "That's slightly less boring." The handler tapped the table, and the display changed again, showing scans of the colony. No explosions. No visible damage. Structures intact. Lights operational. "It doesn't look attacked," Juno noted. "It wasn't," the handler said. "Then what happened?" Another mercenary asked. The handler paused, and that pause stretched, long enough for discomfort to creep in. "We don't know." That answer landed harder than any threat. Mercenaries thrived on known dangers. Unknowns were inefficient. Varric scoffed, pushing himself to his feet. 3,000 humans don't just vanish, he said. They panic, they fight, they beg, but they don't disappear. Agreed, the handler said. Then someone took them. No signs of off-world interference. No ships. None. No energy signatures. None. Varric frowned now. That was strange. "All right," he said. "So what's the job?" The handler zoomed in on the colony's central hub. Deploy planetside. Secure the settlement. Locate survivors. Recover all data cores. "And resistance?" someone asked. The handler looked directly at them. "Eliminate if necessary." A pause. Then, almost as an afterthought, "Expect irregular behavior." Varric smirked again, though it didn't reach his eyes this time. "They're humans," he said. "How irregular can they be?" No one answered. The armory deck buzzed with controlled chaos as the squad prepared for deployment. Weapons were checked, rechecked, modified. Energy cells snapped into place. Blades were sharpened. Targeting systems calibrated. Juno adjusted the settings on her visor as Varric approached. "You buying this?" she asked without looking at him. "Buying what?" he replied. "That this is normal." "It's not normal," Varric said, "but it's not dangerous either." She finally looked at him. "You heard the transmission." "I heard panic," Varric shrugged. "Humans are good at that." They sounded wrong. They always sound wrong when they're about to lose. Juno didn't respond immediately. Then, "You fought humans before?" Varric paused. "Once," he admitted. "And they lost." "That's not what I asked." Varric's jaw tightened slightly. "They always lose," he said. It wasn't quite an answer. Juno noticed, but she let it go. In the hangar bay, the dropship waited, sleek, angular, engines humming with restrained power. The rest of the squad assembled, each member locking into position with practiced precision. "Final checks," Varric called out. "Systems green. Weapons hot. Shield stable." "Good," Varric said. "Let's go collect our paycheck." They boarded. The ramp sealed behind them with a heavy clang. As the ship lifted off, the massive hangar doors opened to reveal the endless black of space, and far ahead, the dull red sphere of Era 9. It looked small, harmless, quiet, too quiet. Inside the cockpit, the pilot adjusted their trajectory. Entering descent vector, they announced. The planet slowly grew larger in the viewport. Clouds drifted lazily across its surface. Sunlight reflected softly off its atmosphere. Peaceful, deceptively so. Juno stared at it, something gnawing at the back of her mind. "Hey," she said over the squad channel. "You ever notice something about humans?" Varric groaned. "If this is philosophical, I'm muting you. I'm serious." "Fine. Enlighten me." "They're weak," she said. "Physically, compared to most species." "Correct. They're slow." "Also correct. They don't have natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armor." "Still correct. I'm sensing a pattern." Juno hesitated. "Then why?" she said quietly. "Are they everywhere?" That got a few glances. Even Varric didn't answer immediately. "Because they reproduce fast," someone offered. "Because they're adaptable," another said. "Because they get lucky," Varric added. Juno shook her head slightly. "No," she said. "That's not it." "Then what is it?" Varric asked. She looked back at the planet. "I don't know." And that was the problem. The dropship pierced the atmosphere moments later, heat flaring across the hull as they descended toward the silent colony. None of them knew it yet. But this was the last moment any of them would think of the mission as easy. The dropship hit the ground harder than expected. Not a crash, just a rough landing. Enough to rattle armor and teeth. Enough to remind everyone that Era 9's gravity was slightly heavier than standard. "Touchdown," the pilot announced. The ramp didn't open immediately. No one rushed. That alone said something. Varric stood at the front, weapon raised, but not aimed, listening. Nothing. No wind. No distant machinery. No voices. Just a faint hum of their own ship. "Open it," he ordered. The ramp lowered with a hydraulic hiss. Red dust rolled inward like a slow breath. And beyond it, stillness. The colony stretched out in clean, geometric lines. Low structures. Solar arrays. Pathways carved into the dirt. Everything exactly where it should be. Except for one thing. No one was there. "Move," Varric said. They stepped out as a unit, boots crunching against the dry ground. "Scanning," Juno said. Her visor flickered as it processed the environment. "Life signs." Varric asked. A pause. "None," she replied. A few of them shifted uneasily. 3,000 people don't just disappear," someone muttered. Varric didn't respond. He was already walking forward. The main road into the colony felt wrong. Not damaged, not destroyed, just abandoned. A transport vehicle sat parked at an angle, its door open. Inside, a half-eaten ration pack floated in zero-grav mode. Its internal stabilizers still active. Power still running. Juno noted. "Which means this was an evacuation," Varric said, "or it was a very bad one." They passed a small marketplace. Tables still stocked. Containers open. Tools scattered. One stall had been knocked over. Not gently. Something had hit it. "Struggle?" one of the mercenaries asked. Varric crouched beside the debris. He ran a hand across the ground. "No," he said slowly. "Not a struggle." He pointed. "Look at the pattern." The others leaned in. The marks weren't chaotic. They were directional. Everything, scattered items, broken pieces, was pushed away from a single point, as if something had exploded outward. But there was no burn, no residue, no crater, just force. Something hit here, Juno said quietly. Hard, Varric added, and fast. Contact, came a voice over comms. Everyone froze. Where? Varric snapped. North side, near the gate. They moved immediately. Tight formation, weapons up, eyes scanning every angle. The silence pressing on them as they advanced. Then, they saw it. The body lay just inside the colony entrance. Twisted, broken, wrong. Varric slowed, then stopped completely. That's not human, someone said. No, Juno whispered. It's not. They approached cautiously. The armor was unmistakable. Black plating, reinforced joints, custom modifications. Varric's expression hardened. I know this unit, he said. He knelt beside the body. Rel squad. A murmur rippled through the group. They were sent ahead of us, someone said. 2 days ago, Juno added. We were supposed to rendezvous. Varric examined the corpse. The armor wasn't cut. It wasn't pierced. It was opened, split apart along the chest and shoulders. Metal bent outward like something had forced its way through, or into, it. Energy weapon? One of them suggested. No, Varric said immediately. Explosive? No blast pattern. Juno crouched beside him. Then what did this? Varric didn't answer right away. He was looking at the edges of the armor. Not melted, not fractured, compressed, as if something immensely strong had simply pushed until it gave way. Strength, he said finally. Extreme strength. A silence followed that, because none of them liked where that thought led. A sound echoed through the street. Soft, rhythmic, step. Everyone snapped to attention. Weapons raised. Did you hear that? Someone whispered. Step. Closer this time. Motion sensors? Varric demanded. Nothing. Juno said. No heat signatures. No movement. Step. It was coming from ahead, but there was nothing there. No figure. No shadow. Nothing. Form up. Varric ordered. They tightened their formation, covering every angle. Show yourself, one of them shouted. The sound stopped. Silence returned. Heavy. Oppressive. Maybe it's structural, someone said. Metal shifting, thermal contraction. Step. Behind them. They spun instantly. Weapons aimed. Nothing. But the dust on the ground. It shifted. Barely. Like something had just pressed into it. A footprint. Then another. Appearing. One by one. Moving toward them. Juno's voice dropped to a whisper. That's not possible. The footsteps continued. Invisible. Measured. Unhurried. Coming straight at them. Fire! Someone asked, panic creeping in. No! Varric snapped. The footprint stopped. Right in front of him. Close enough that if something was there, it was within arm's reach. Varric's grip tightened on his weapon. Identify yourself, he said, voice steady despite the tension coiling in his chest. Nothing. No response. No movement. Just a faint impression of something present, watching. Then the footprints vanished. Gone. As if they had never been there. The dust settled. The silence deepened. No one moved. No one spoke. Finally, one of the mercenaries exhaled shakily. I don't like this mission anymore. For once, no one disagreed. Fall back to the central hub. Varric ordered. Now! No arguments. No jokes. No confidence. They moved quickly, staying tight, every sense on edge. Whatever had happened here, whatever had done that, it wasn't gone. And for the first time since taking contract, the most dangerous beings in the system began to understand something unsettling. This wasn't a recovery mission. It was a mistake. The central hub doors were still powered. That bothered Juno more than if they had been torn open. Colony-wide power grid is stable, she said as they approached. No outages. No overloads. 3,000 people vanish, and no one hits an alarm, one of the mercenaries muttered. Maybe they didn't have time, another replied. Varric didn't speak. He was watching the doors. waiting. Nothing moved. "Open it," he said. The door slid apart smoothly. No resistance. No warning. Inside, order. Lights glowed softly overhead. Consoles blinked in standby mode. Data terminals hummed quietly, waiting for users who never came back. It looked like people had simply stepped away and never returned. "Clear," one mercenary said after a quick sweep. "Not clear," Juno corrected. "Just empty." "Same thing." "No," she said sharply. "It's not." They moved deeper into the hub. A chair was overturned near a workstation. A datapad lay cracked on the floor. A coffee container, still warm, sat untouched beside a terminal. Varric noticed that. "Heat source?" he asked. Juno scanned it. "Still within recent temperature range." She said slowly, "Hours. Maybe less." That stopped everyone. "Less?" someone repeated. "That's not possible," another said. "We've had eyes on this place from orbit for hours. No visible movement." Juno clarified. "That doesn't mean nothing was happening." Varric straightened. "Pull the logs," he ordered. Juno moved to the nearest terminal, her fingers flying across the interface. "Accessing colony network. Some corruption, files missing. Get what you can." "I'm trying." The screen flickered, then stabilized. "Got something," she said. The first recording appeared on the central display. A human woman. Lab coat, disheveled hair, eyes darting constantly, like she expected something to appear behind her at any second. "They don't understand us," she said. Her voice trembled, but not from weakness, from realization. "They think we're fragile, that because we break easily, we're easy." A loud metallic bang echoed in the background. She flinched violently. "They're wrong." The recording glitched. Static tore through the image. "We didn't know it would trigger like this." The feed cut. Silence filled the room. "Trigger what?" one of the mercenaries asked. "No idea," Juno said. Next file. The second recording was worse. Same woman. Different expression. Not fear this time. Panic. "It's not an infection," she said quickly, speaking too fast, words tumbling over each other. "It's not external. It's not a weapon they use on us." A distant scream echoed through the audio. "Raw. Human. They keep asking what it is," she continued. "What's happening to them?" Her voice broke slightly. "I told them the truth." She leaned closer to the camera. "It's us." The feed distorted again, but this time it didn't cut immediately. Instead, it shifted. Security footage. A corridor. Empty. Then, a human stepped into frame. Male. Unarmed. Slight build. He looked terrified. He stumbled, backing away from something off camera. "No, no, no, please." A mercenary entered the frame. Armored. Weapon raised. "Stay where you are," the mercenary barked. The human froze. Hands raised. Compliant. Weak. Predictable. The mercenary fired. The shot hit center mass. The human jerked from the impact, and then paused. Completely. The fear vanished. Not faded. Not suppressed. Erased. His posture changed. Subtly, but unmistakably. He stood straighter. Still. Focused. The mercenary fired again. Another direct hit. No effect. What the human moved. The footage struggled to keep up. One frame. He was standing still. The next. He was already halfway across the corridor. The mercenary fired wildly. Missed. The human reached him. And then, the video glitched violently. But the final frame was clear enough. The mercenary on the ground. Armor crushed inward, like it had been hit by something far beyond human strength. No one spoke. Not immediately. "Play the next one," Varric said quietly. Another clip. Different corridor. 3 mercenaries this time. Weapons ready. A human stood at the far end. Cornered. Shaking. "You don't have to do this," one mercenary said. The human nodded rapidly. Okay, just don't." The first mercenary fired. The shot grazed a human's shoulder. Pain. Visible. Real. Then, the same shift. The same stillness. The same change. The human looked up. And for the first time, he smiled, not out of joy, out of understanding. The mercenaries opened fire. Multiple hits. No slowing. The human adapted. Each step faster than the last. Each movement more precise. As if it was learning in real time. Improving. Optimizing. The footage ended with all 3 mercenaries down. The room felt colder. He's adjusting, Juno said slowly, not randomly, efficiently. Adrenal response? Someone suggested weakly. No, she said immediately. This is beyond that. How far beyond? Another asked. Juno didn't answer. She didn't know. The final recording loaded, audio only, heavy breathing, multiple voices overlapping. They're changing too fast. It's stress-triggered. Has to be... No, it's not just stress. It's decision-based, like they're choosing. A crash in the background. Something heavy. Something violent. They're not holding back anymore. A pause. Then a quieter voice. Terrified. They were always capable of this. Silence. They just never needed to be. The recording ended. No one moved. No one spoke. Finally, one of the mercenaries laughed. Short, sharp, forced. So what? He said. Humans get a little tougher when they're scared. No one joined in. Varric was staring at the screen. At the frozen image of a human mid-motion. Blurred. Fast. Wrong. This isn't toughness, he said. Juno nodded slowly. It's removal, she said. Removal of what? Someone asked. Juno swallowed. Limits. That word settled over the room like a weight. A sound echoed behind them. Step. Everyone turned instantly. Weapons raised. The corridor outside the hub was empty, but the sound had been real. Closer than before. Varric's voice dropped. We're not alone. No one needed convincing anymore, because now they understood. The colony hadn't gone silent. It had changed. And whatever humans became when those limits disappeared was still here, waiting. The sound didn't echo this time. It settled. Step. Inside the hub. Not outside. Not distant. Close. Too close. Positions. Varric snapped. The squad reacted instantly, spreading out into defensive angles, weapons raised, targeting systems searching for something, anything to lock onto. Juno's visor flickered rapidly. Still nothing, she said, voice tight. No heat, no motion, no. Step. Closer. From the main corridor. Every weapon turned toward it. Come out, one of the mercenaries shouted. Silence. Then a shadow shifted. Not cast. Not projected. Just there. And from it, a figure stepped forward. A human. He looked ordinary. Painfully so. Mid-sized. Thin. Unarmored. No visible augmentations. His clothes were torn slightly at the shoulder, stained with dried blood. His chest rose and fell unevenly. He looked terrified. Please, he said, voice shaking. Don't. A mercenary fired. No hesitation. No warning. The shot struck center mass. The human jerked back, collapsing to one knee. Hold fire, Juno shouted. Too late. The damage was done. The human stayed there for a second, breathing hard, head lowered. Then he inhaled, deep, slow, and everything changed. It wasn't visible at first. No transformation, no mutation, no grotesque shift, just stillness, absolute. The trembling stopped. The fear vanished. The human lifted his head. His eyes were different now, not glowing, not altered, just focused, clear, present in a way that made everyone in the room instinctively step back. Too late, he finished quietly. Varric fired. So did the others. A barrage of energy rounds slammed into the human. Direct hits. Unavoidable. The human didn't dodge. Didn't block. Didn't even react the way he should have. He just moved forward. Each step precise. Measured. Unstoppable. What the hell? Someone shouted. Keep firing. Varric barked. They did. The human adjusted. Subtly. The next volley less effective. Not because they missed. Because he had already begun predicting. Angles. Timing, movement patterns. You seeing this? Juno yelled. He's reading us. The human disappeared. Not vanished. Moved. Faster than their systems could track. One moment he was there. The next, he was inside their formation. The first mercenary went down instantly. A single strike. No wasted motion. Armor dented inward with a sound like collapsing metal. The second tried to react. Too slow. Disarmed. Thrown. Impact. Stillness. Fall back. Varric shouted, but there was nowhere to fall back to. The human was already among them. Not wild. Not frantic. Precise. Every movement efficient. Every action calculated. Juno fired point blank. The human shifted slightly. Not enough to dodge. Just enough to reduce impact. He closed the distance. She barely had time to register before. Her weapon was gone. Torn from her hands. She stumbled back. Breath sharp. He's learning faster than we can adapt, she yelled. Impossible, someone shouted. But it wasn't. They were watching it happen. Varric stepped forward. Not retreating. Never retreating. He adjusted his stance. Recalibrated his aim. You're not special, he growled. You're just human. The human stopped. For the first time since moving. He stopped right in front of Varric. Close. Too close. Varric fired. The human tilted his head. The shot grazed past. Missed. Barely. That's new, the human said softly. His voice was calm now. Steady. Curious. As if he were observing something interesting. Varric froze. Not from fear. Not yet. From realization. You're improving, he said. The human considered that. Then nodded slightly. Yes. A beat. You would too. Behind Varric, another mercenary charged. Desperate. Furious. The human didn't even look. He stepped aside at the last possible second. Minimal movement. Maximum effect. The mercenary crashed past him and into the wall. Hard. Silence followed. Varric lowered his weapon slightly. For the first time, uncertainty crept in. What are you? He asked. The human looked at him. Really looked at him. And for a moment, there was something there. Not hostility. Not rage. Something almost familiar. Still human, he said. Varric shook his head. No, he said. No, that's not. It is. The human interrupted. He took a step closer. Varric didn't move. Couldn't. Your mistake, the human continued, is thinking human means weak. Another step. You saw the limits. Another. You assumed they were permanent. Now, he was right in front of Varric. Close enough that Varric could see every detail. Every breath. Every micro-movement. Every calculation happening behind those eyes. They weren't, the human said quietly. Varric's grip loosened. His weapon slipped slightly in his hand. And then, for the first time in years, he felt it. Not tension. Not caution. Not calculated awareness. Fear. Real fear. The kind that doesn't sharpen you. It slows you. Breaks your rhythm. Interrupts your thinking. W, what did you do? He asked. The human tilted his head slightly. Nothing, he said. A pause. We stopped holding back. Time stretched. Varric's mind raced, but his body didn't follow. Too slow. Too late. The human moved. Varric saw it, understood it, even anticipated it. And still, he couldn't stop it. The last sound in the hub wasn't a scream. It wasn't a gunshot. It wasn't even a struggle. Just impact. Then silence. Moments later, the human stood alone in the center of the room, breathing steady, uninjured, unshaken. Around him, the most feared mercenary unit in the sector lay still, defeated, effortlessly. He looked around the hub, at the terminals, at the recordings, at the traces of what had happened here. Then he exhaled slowly, not in relief, in thought. They'll send more, he said quietly, not worried, not concerned, just aware. He turned toward the exit. And next time, he added, they'll be afraid. And that, more than anything, was why mercenaries would come to fear humans. Not because they were monsters, not because they were unstoppable, but because They had always been capable of this. They had just never needed to show it. Until now. And